Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Court Vision is now in session. That's too long. I'm not waiting 30 seconds.
It's too exciting. It's the deadline, man. We can't wait 30 seconds.
I mean, that's not why. It's all of our presets are gone, so I can't use our old stuff.
Oh, all
So
right.
here
Well,
we are.
that too. Don't get excited about the show or anything. Just be excited about the 28 seconds we got you back. You're welcome,
Yeah.
America.
Welcome back, everyone. This is going to be a yawn fest, not because of anything other than I'm tired. NBA trade deadline 2026. Quite an interesting trade deadline, don't you think?
Yeah, this one, I tell you what, man, this one is one for the books. Listen, I feel like basketball has kind of 180'd itself in the last maybe 25, 30 years. And by the way, if you're out there listening for the first time, thank you. And also, you're welcome that I dated us that quickly into the show, so you know how old we are. But Kilroy, you remember, man, when we were growing up, I feel like the experts out there were the guys who could tell you anything about anyone, right? How Hubert Davis was as a golfer, or, who Mateen Cleaves was best friends with growing up. And if those names mean nothing to you listening, well, that's kind of my point, right? It was all about who could name every player on every roster, growing up on the playground. Now I feel like between the fact that we're in the social media world and we're in the hot take era of media, it's more about who can make the deepest cut about a star. You got Kendrick Perkins today, for example, saying that the Grizzlies were not a loser, but the loser of this deadline just because they held on to Ja Morant. They were stuck with a disgruntled star. No matter that, they got picks, for Triple J, who's got his own problems. Never mind that in Walter Clayton and Hendricks, they might have taken on 2/5 of their future starting lineup. But because a star problem still exists, the team is the ultimate loser. Like, we have such a problem with that mindset that it's nice to see a deadline like this where so much happened. There was so much chaos. We're used to stars changing the competitive balance when a trade happens, but I feel like today we saw a change to the actual landscape of the league, where we're going to have to take time and figure out who's good now, who's better now, who needs what now. This completely changes mock drafts and free agency predictions. And I loved it. We have not seen something like this in a while, and it was a really fun day.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a very bad. I didn't see that he said that. I think that's a terrible take on that. It's not like they didn't try to trade him, right? They tried trading him. Apparently, there was no serious offers that were ever in play. So it's not like they apparently lowered their what they were looking for even. So I don't think that's a fair evaluation of the Grizzlies. I think moving on from Triple J was expected. I think their inability to move, not their inability, the fact that they weren't able to move on from Ja is more to do with Ja as and his perspective by other teams than it does his talent. I think talent is not the issue with that. I think a lot of it still has to stem from the hand gestures, the off the court issues that he hasn't had in a while, but are still in the minds of the GMs and team owners. And, to take on someone like that where he can accidentally slip up again, because it doesn't have to be on purpose, right? It could just be he makes a stupid gesture, and then he gets suspended for like 2 weeks. You're like, well, damn. I think that plays more into it than his talent. Yes, his numbers and everything are down this year. I think that can be mostly attributed to the fact that it is a new coach. He is trying to figure out things, and the fact that he may not be happy where he is and he's not able to play to his best because he's not happy.
Yeah, I think you also, and this is kind of a spoiler for the entire show. If you're watching and throughout the show at any point you disagree with us, first of all, feel free to comment. Second of all, you're certainly welcome to. Um, but I feel like we've seen some such insane trades happen over the last couple years that has to factor in. Like when you look at the Grizzlies, for example, the pool of ridiculousness they got for Desmond Bain. Well, honestly, if they just got rid of Ja Morant, if they just flat out hoisted him into the sun, if you look at the draft capital and the player capital they got for Triple J, Bain, and Ja already, right? Like if you just think of it as those three out, what they've got in, it's already pretty close to reasonable. They don't have to get a whole lot for Ja. And so to call them losers, because he's still there, to me makes no sense because it's not like they have to wait for a certain standard or a certain number of picks. They've gotten their haul for that generation. That era is leaving. They now are gonna, apparently Edie and Coward are the guys they want to build around. Guys like Gigi Jackson, and we talked about Hendricks and Clayton and Scottie Pippen Jr. They have a ton of good supportive guys to build around there. Plus all the picks they have coming up. To look at them as anything other than bright-eyed and bushy-tailed looking to the future with one guy left to get rid of from the, early 2020s generation. I like what the Grizzlies did. I like what the Grizzlies have.
By the way, for those of you playing along at home, that was a terrible prediction on my behalf.
Which one?
The Grizzlies.
Oh,
that was
Do you remember what the exact prediction was?
I changed it. Luckily, I think I had them winning like 40 or 50 games. Whoops. I can pull it up. Let me check. But yeah, no, I was not close.
They could finish the year about 22-8 if they really want to. They can get you there. They can get you there.
That's oh, you mean win 22 games?
Yeah.
I thought you meant their record would be 22.
No, I'm saying to get to your number, they'd have to go about 22-8 the rest of the way.
Where did this go?
I don't know. For those of you who have watched us before, first of all, thank you and welcome back. But a bunch of our buddies are not here tonight. We're a team of 6, and our buddy Kevin is the keeper of the data. So without him tonight, anytime Kilroy goes to the boards, just good luck, everybody. We'll see him. We'll see him when we see him.
Here we are.
Listen, I'm just going to keep talking, Kilroy. If you're going to give me the mic, I'm going to go right. You don't want to know what I think about the Pacers trade.
They're the Southwest?
Yes, they're the Southwest.
Okay. Here we are. Southwest. 44 wins.
Okay, so they'd have to go about 24-6 the rest of the way, something of that nature. It's doable.
I don't think I think I'm also wrong on the Mavericks. I had them at 39 wins.
Yeah, I mean,
I was very wrong about the Pelicans as well. I have them at 43. What was I thinking? No, this is old. This is super old. Okay. No, this must be last year's because I have the Spurs at 29 wins. And I know I changed. I didn't have them that low.
I don't know. You were hating. Tommy stopped being our friend because of how much hate you put on the Spurs in the offseason. Notice he's not here tonight. That's your doing.
I mean, I definitely was hard on them compared to him, but I had them at 45 wins. This must be it. Where's Michael? Spurs? No, okay, I can't find it. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
matter.
The point is, I kind of segueing into basically anywhere else you want to take this conversation. You got to give credit to some teams who have put a clear intention on this trade deadline. And I think Memphis has officially said the wins don't matter. I think the Bulls are another team who you look at and seem content to put their eyes on the future. And you got to give those teams you got to give those teams credit. I'm sorry. No matter what happens, at least you have a plan. Meanwhile, the Jazz look like they continue to just put guys in a blender and see what kind of smoothie comes out for this year. It's wild what's happening in Utah.
Let's talk Bulls real quick.
Sure.
I have been clamoring for the Bulls to do a rebuild for the past what feels like decade.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally do. But it feels bad because they just didn't get first round picks. They got like they're fine. It's fine. It's better than nothing. But from the talent of the players they had, the fact that with DeRozan, with Zach LaVine, all going and getting 0 first round picks. I know that wasn't this year, but still. And then just after that, still trudging along, and then still getting, you lose Kobe White, you lose all these other guys, and you still get no first round picks. It's so disappointing because they wasted so many seasons of mediocrity, and instead of trading off earlier and getting more picks, they're or better picks in first round picks instead of second round picks, they're just collecting second rounders. And yes, it's better than nothing, but at the same time, it's disappointing because it's like you have nothing to show for it, right? Like you didn't have playoff success, and you barely even made the playoffs when you did make them.
Yeah, you can't appreciate the Bulls' plan long term here. And I mean, part of why they got what they got this year is because even Kobe White and Vucevic, Vucevic on age and Kobe White on kind of where his talent has been. Kobe White definitely you could have sold higher on last year. And obviously for anyone who's older, it's true that each year, the depreciation just builds up. So, I mean, mistakes were made, but relative to how defeated they were after that LaVine trade, and they basically officially, sold off their image to the Kings. At that point, they were pretty much stuck. At that point, they were pretty much, Kilroy, your take there is pretty on the money. I'd love to hear from a Bulls fan to see if anyone can still be blindly loyal enough. But the national take is, they messed up to a point of being a really unappealing franchise. And so aside from collecting all the seconds, you really got to like what they did here, where with Sexton, Simons, and Ivy, they go out and get 3 guys who are on expiring contracts and are going to get a chance to play. And they're all different enough that they can all play at the same time or not eat into each other's minutes. So you'll get a good look at all of them. You're going to get their bird rights, and you're going to give them a reason to try and encourage them to stay. Even if they just fall in love with the community they happen to get a home in for these, 4 or 5 months, that might convince them to stay. But these are guys who might have not looked at Chicago in free agency, who now are basically getting a free 4-month, tour of the place. So I think it's pretty brilliant what the Bulls did on this particular deadline.
Oh yeah, I mean, based off of what
coming
they had,
from, an unsalvageable hole, for years to come. But with the nothing they had, you got to give them credit for the day they had.
Yes, they did. They certainly did. The Jazz. What are the Jazz? What are the Jazz? What are the Jazz?
What are the Jazz? I couldn't ask a better question. This is a team that continues to be rudderless, continues to be directionless. I don't know. They're where they are
supposed to be some sort of basketball genius.
They're in 13th. They're about 7 out of even getting into the play-in. I mean, I guess in theory, they'd have to make a run. They'd have to get past the Mavs, the Grizz, and the Clippers to get into the play-in. 3 teams that were definitively sellers, at this deadline. Maybe that's the idea when you make a run like this. I don't really know. Apparently they weren't willing to move Walker Kessler for 2 firsts, but now they have 3 bigs, so someone's going to be out of the rotation or marketing's going to be way out of place.
He's played that before. Triple J has played power forward before, and then Walker Kessler. I mean, they'll be extremely long, right? That's like 3 7-footers. They're great. They're built great to deal with OKC, right?
I mean they are, but so now will Ace Bailey is Ace Bailey the 6th pick overall in this draft already the forgotten man out?
Yes.
Is Bryce Sensabaugh going to play the world's lankiest 2 guard for 10 minutes a night? I mean, it's at some point you have to appreciate roster construction is a real thing. I mean, and again, to give the Bulls credit, every time they brought in a guard, they moved a guard, right? DeSumo moved and Kobe White moved. And the Bulls were getting some criticism yesterday for, how many guards they had on the roster. And then you were like, oh, okay, there was a plan all along. Right. The Celtics end up moving Xavier Tillman literally at 2:59 and 59 seconds, to make sort of the room for Vucevic because they got a little too big. You see all these teams doing these seemingly meaningless trades just to keep the image of a real roster, of a real rotation. And the Jazz are like, yeah, by rule, we need 15 guys. I guess that's a human. We'll take them. It just, I don't understand what the Jazz are doing. And real quick, Triple J, we need to talk about this dude. Less than 2,300 rebounds in his career. He's halfway through his 8th season, but he's averaging 5.5 rebounds a game in his career. If you multiply that out, if you multiply the, first of all, 5.5 is a ridiculous number for a big, but then if you multiply that out, 5.5 rebounds, 82 games, 7.5 years, he should be close to 3,400. On top of everything else, that means he's missed about a third of his career. The dude can't stay healthy. The dude can't rebound. The dude's averaging close to 5 fouls a night this season in his 8th year. If nothing else, seniority eventually kicks in. The rest just appreciate you more as an older guy. The fact that you can't even get respect in this league is ridiculous. I mean, Utah is one of the great places for a career to go and die, so maybe that's the idea here. But man, Triple J has been overrated for a while. He's going to an owner and a president who's been overrated for a while. It's a disaster there.
I am so happy you said that. I have been thinking that for years. For a big to be so bad at rebounding, makes no sense. And everyone talks about him being always up for Defensive Player of the Year. Rebounding is important for defense. Even offensive rebounding is important for defense.
Yeah.
If you're averaging 5, even if you round it up to 6 rebounds, and you're a 7-footer starting center, 6 rebounds, and you're the backup center, that's pretty good. But you're the starting center, and you're not double digits, getting or close to double digits, is crazy to me. As a 7-footer, we're not talking about like a 6'6" Draymond Green center here. We're talking about an actual big man. And yes, he is good with the interior defense and other things, but come on, man.
Yeah, it's an odd fit there. He's an overrated player. I mean, to give up the draft capital they gave to, I mean, Taylor Hendricks hasn't been able to stay healthy, but he was a much better fit. Him and Bryce Sensabaugh are basically the same dude. So one of them was better. You hope one of them hits. Now you're putting all your eggs in the Sensabaugh basket or the Bailey basket for, sort of that taller wing position. We've seen a lot of lottery picks come and go from that Utah team. We'll probably end up getting to the Thunder here at some point in the close of the show. That's another team they've had first rounders come and go for capital that have been a complete waste. So listen, the Thunder obviously hit enough that we look at them very differently. But the Jazz have had a lot of lottery picks come and go. Which, I mean, why can't Triple J just be the next one? I don't have any faith in this at this point.
Yeah. Let's talk OKC. They didn't get McCain from the Sixers for their 2026 first round pick. I like this trade for them. I don't understand the trade for the Sixers.
Money.
Can you enlighten me?
Solely money. They wanted to get under the cap. So McCain has he's been struggling to get healthy this year. They actually had him in the G League about 10 days ago. Quentin Grimes has been playing very well as a wing. He only really even came back into effect when Paul George got suspended. So he was expendable to them. They wanted to move under the cap. They knew they didn't feel he was any part of their long-term plan. So I mean, it's very the Sixers, the Mavs, and the Raptors, I'm going to lump them all together as meh grades of this thing because they all made one move to move one guy to get a little bit cheaper. Tyus Jones was cast off the Magic. Abaje was cast off the Raptors and McCain. So they all did something very similar. They're all about the same in the rankings. So it's not surprising to see them all kind of pace each other. For the Thunder, listen, it's a great move. They're middle of the pack in most three-point shooting stats. They're like 15th in threes made, 16th in threes attempted, something like that. They're right there in the middle of the pack. So getting a guy whose sole function, I mean, he can create his own shot. We saw what he did last year. He looked like him and Tyrese Maxey were going to be running buddies. And then obviously Edgecombe took that spot in the future plans. But for him to just be somebody who can, wait out on the wing and get that shot, that's pretty impressive. What I do need to talk about with the Thunder, though, here, and it's what I was just alluding to, if you look at the trades they made for Jared McCain, Dylan Jones, who, by the way, they made that trade with the Knicks, and he's now back in the Knicks G League, so obviously that didn't work, and Ousmane Dieng, who they also moved at the deadline this year. Those three guys, who, if you're saying I didn't know two of those three guys existed, you're not wrong. The Thunder moved to combine 4 firsts. Now, 2 of those became conditional seconds, but at the time it was 4 firsts and 8 seconds. So ultimately 2 firsts and 10 seconds for those 3 guys. We might have a problem with draft capital dispersion in this league, because 12 picks landed them a guy who got moved 4 times at this deadline and somehow is now on Milwaukee, a guy who's back in the Knicks farm system after they traded 5 seconds for him on draft night. And hey, one of those firsts for Ousmane Dieng ended up being one of the first the Knicks used to land Miles Bridges. So these trades have major consequences, and the Thunder are just throwing them around just to fill out the back end of their bench. So it's pretty crazy, the sort of aftershock we're going to have of the Thunder coming into their own here for this generation.
Yeah. Let's see. You mentioned Grizzlies. You want to talk about that, or you want to save that for later?
What about the Grizzlies? I thought we covered them.
Nope. The Bucks.
Ah, the Bucks. There you go. Okay.
I certainly said Grizzlies, but I meant the Bucks. You want to talk about them now, or do you want to talk about them later?
Yeah, we'll hit them now. Why not? Just kind of as we'll just let the flow go where it goes.
The big prize everyone thought was going to happen didn't happen. Giannis did not get traded. Milwaukee allegedly really wants to get him to where he wants to go, and it's apparently between the Knicks and the Heat are where he wants to go. Obviously, the Knicks are not interested right now, and I understand why. In making a trade, they will wait to evaluate as the season ends whether or not they are going to move in on Giannis. They had a chance this offseason, and they probably should have at that point, because then they would have had enough time to what's the word I'm looking for? Gel. Now they're on an 8-game win streak. It would be a weird time to pull a trade like this. The team has a lot positive energy right now. It would be very weird and could be more detrimental. Especially seeing the Knicks are second in the East. Detroit's not the strongest 1 seed. This Knicks team has a good chance at making at least 2 of the Eastern Conference Finals, tying them last year, which again just proves that going from Tom Thibodeau to Mike Brown is just a linear move and not an improvement.
Listen, it is I love you, brother, and I'm so glad to see you tonight. It's a good thing we don't do the weekly show anymore, because we would have spent so much time just begging Tom Thibodeau to come back. We would have been singing songs. We would have been making signs. This is one of the dumbest things I remember seeing in Nick, even by Nick standards, dumb in New York history. I don't remember anything this insane in this millennium. It's dumb. It's really stupid, especially – we'll talk. We usually tend to end the show with the Knicks, so I'll hold off my trade opinions there. But the fact that a guy like Jose Alvarado, who is such just a scrappy bulldog, comes in at the deadline, and everyone says, "Oh, that is such a Knick guy." I mean, they still have the Tibbs identity on this team. They just don't have the Tibbs. I mean, it's weird that we're trying to pretend this isn't still Tibbs's stamp on this team. It's
stupid. It's stupid.
It's stupid. It is. But back to the Bucks. Listen, you're also getting stories that behind the scenes Giannis has come out and said, I could see a world where I try and win one more here and retire a Buck. So we don't know what's going to happen from week to week, from year to year. Now, we do know that when you look at the little bit that the Bucks did, which was basically nothing, they moved on from Cole Anthony. That's going to really let them exploit Ryan Rollins and let him kind of show off his future. They brought in Nick Richards, just a nice, by all accounts, good guy, veteran presence. They don't plan on winning many games. They're going to actively try and put themselves in a position where they have a real nice draft pick in one of the most top-heavy drafts and loaded drafts in recent memory. And that's going to give them the opportunity to either use that pick to try and get a running mate for Giannis or get an heir apparent for Giannis. And so, now probably before we get into the free agency trade talk, we also have to look at where does this pick end up for the Bucks. And so, more trades we have to talk about tonight. When you look at the Pacers and the move they made, it's for the long term when Tyrese comes back, Halliburton, but it certainly does affect them this year. When you look at things like Cam Thomas getting shockingly bought out because he just doesn't, he doesn't want to stay in Brooklyn and they just couldn't figure out what else to do with him. These are things that, you think of them as just bottom feeding teams in the East doing goofy things, but these have major, major effects on the top of the league because if the Bucks end up with the 9th pick in this draft, it's still a good pick, but it's nothing that would necessarily entice, Giannis to be like, ooh, all right, I'll at least take a look here. But the top 3 or 4 in this draft are supposed to all be studs. If they can end up with the 2nd pick or something, you're at least going to get Giannis to say, all right, let's see what we're talking about here. Let's see what we're thinking. Yeah. So some critical trades out there in the league. Like I said, today changed the landscape of the league in a lot of ways.
So I was thinking about this. Why didn't the Bucks try to take a flyer on someone like Ja or Zion? Right. They don't have to they most likely wouldn't have to give up high draft, first round picks for Ja and just see how him and Giannis play together.
I am strictly guessing here. So if somebody has a fact that disproves me, sorry. But when you look at the fact that the Heat did nothing, you look at, so apparently there was a trade offer out there that involved Karl Anthony Towns going to the Wizards for a ton of capital and some of the stuff the Wizards moved to Dallas. And they say the Knicks said no, but in reality, what probably happened was Washington said, we can't wait for you anymore. We have to move on. And so the Knicks staying, as much as I like that the Knicks kept their core intact, the Heat staying intact, that all reflects that the Bucks were doing their due diligence right up until the minute. It only became news that Giannis was going to stay put only about an hour and a half before the deadline. And so I don't think the Bucks were in a position where they could say, let's try and build around him, because they were not sure they were keeping him until it was too late to support. The other side of this, and I know this is strictly a statistical anomaly, but I think it's fair for a GM to dream. Listen, I like Ja. I like James Harden. I like all these guys. But when you factor in age and you factor in upside and you factor in a clean slate of gossip-free living, these top 3 guys in the 2026 draft might actually be more appealing for the long-term health of your franchise than maybe we'll go 15-8 with Ja and he'll get arrested twice in a Milwaukee bar. You can't, I get it's hard.
I get what you're saying.
It's hard to rely on the unknown, but the Bucks front brass might have said that's actually the better prize here.
Yeah. Let's talk the Lakers. Lakers made a good trade.
Yeah, I'll give them a good.
They needed 3-point shooting, and they went and got 3-point shooting.
Yeah, and I'll give them this also. I think you'll notice I'm trying to lump teams together here, so we can cover as much as we can in the little time we have, but also because we saw, again, we'll get there in a minute, but just spoiler, Tommy, part of the reason Tommy's not on the show tonight is because he said he would lose his mind as soon as somebody said San Antonio. We know he's a diehard Spurs fan. Tommy, we love you, by the way. Be on the next one with us. But he was so upset the Spurs did nothing until you look at the fact that the Nuggets did nothing, the Rockets did nothing. That's okay if you're the Spurs. And so we saw a lot of teams mimicking each other, especially we talked about Orlando, Toronto, and Philly, who are all kind of lumped together, all kind of kept the brakes fairly pumped. Well, in this case, these aren't two teams chasing each other, but it's fair to make the comparison here between Detroit and the Lakers. They both needed a wing. They both went out and got one, and they both went out and got the right one for them. Kevin Huerter, a little bit, tends to be a little bit more chippy, tends to be a little more of an aggressive player, a little bit younger. Whereas Luke Kennard, I often have to Google if Luke Kennard is still in the league or if he's retired. I mean, that guy's got some years on him. He definitely kind of fits that more, hey, LeBron, I'm over here if you need me type of attitude. And so, we kind of see two teams not just going out and getting what they needed, but getting guys who really, I think, kind of match their identity. Now, I put Detroit even a little bit lower. I give the Lakers an even higher grade because, no offense to Gabe Vincent, but again, I would have had to Google what team is Gabe Vincent on. I mean, I'm very okay with the Lakers getting Luke Kennard for nothing, whereas Jaden Ivey wasn't part of the Pistons' plan, but he's young. He was a lottery pick. He could still be something. And, the Pistons, I think, had to give up way more than the Lakers did. So both teams, same game plan, same level of success, just to see the Lakers do it so much cheaper on, just as much, if not more of a household name for three-point shooting. Again, credit to what you were saying. Credit to the Lakers.
Real quick, NBA.com. Come on. You are such a terrible website.
Well, that's going to get us fined. Go on.
Come on. I literally just was trying to look up how old Luke Kennard is. And I clicked on his profile, and it has zero information about it. By the way, 29. He is still relatively young.
Yeah, very, very misleading. I would have thought that dude was at least 46,000. If you told me Luke Kennard signed the Declaration of Independence, I'd have to believe you.
He has been in the league not even 10 years. He was the 12th overall pick in the 2017 NBA draft.
Maybe I'm thinking of Davy Crockett. Maybe that's who I'm thinking of when I think of what year Luke Kennard was born. Luke Kennard feels like he's been around forever. And honestly, that's kind of my point.
I mean, 9 years is a long time.
I mean, 10 years is a long time. Aaron Gordon, the other day I learned, has been in the league 12 years, and I almost threw up because I remember that guy trying to win a dunk contest when he was like 18. But I think that only just kind of furthers my point, right? We think of Luke Kennard as this just, Dougie Buckets type lingering, Kyle Korver type lingering veteran. He does his job so well. Just put him in the corner, let him shoot, and let him go. So it's a good move. It's the kind of guy LeBron loves.
Let's play a little fun game first before we move on.
Okay.
Not including the Lakers.
Uh-huh.
And name the 4 teams Luke Kennard has played for.
Oh, I was going to say it was 7 teams, so I'm already lost. Not including the Lakers. He played for the Clippers. He played for the Grizzlies. He played for the Pistons.
This last one should be easy. It is literally the team that just traded him.
Oh, and he played. I don't know where he was. I don't know where they got him from. He played for the Hawks. He played for the Hawks. All right.
I did not remember him being on Memphis.
I will tell you, I don't know the order of those. I don't know who drafted him. I have
Detroit, Clippers, Memphis, Atlanta, and now Lakers. I'm looking at it. I didn't memorize it.
I'm saying good for him. Again, he's a commodity. Everyone wants a little Luke Kennard in their life.
He has played in 506 games. How many of the 506 has he started? Do you think he started over under a quarter of the games?
Oh, I would say he has not started 100 games in his career. Do you have that number?
121.
Oh, I would have said high 80s, low 90s. Good for him. Hey man, I got to do my Luke Kennard research. I clearly did not give this guy enough respect.
The most games he started was the 2019-2020 season, where he played only 28 games, and of the 28 games, how many do you think he started for the Detroit Pistons?
Oh, he was locked in that year. He started 26 of them.
Ooh, so close. Wow, that was really good. 25. You could not be closer.
So close.
That is okay. This episode is derailed into the Luke Kennard trivia.
This episode is brought to you by Luke Kennard.
Luke Kennard, please come on our show that we barely ever do.
Hey, listen, I would do this show 3 times a day if we could do it with Luke Kennard.
back to the did we talk? And I don't think we did. Did we talk the Harden trade?
No, listen. If you're out there waiting for your team, I don't know if you can tell, we're trying to get to all 30 in the limited time we have, but we got to get to Harden and we got to get to the Pacers. I think those are the two.
Sure.
We kind of just skipped around the central.
Because Harden, I find a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely more relevant, especially for the Knicks.
So the Pacers trade for Zubac from the Clippers. They've been after losing Miles Turner for agency. They've been looking for their new starting center. This is obviously not for this season. This is going to catapult them into a good team this year. This is so that they have a new running mate for when Tyrese Halliburton comes back next season. All in all, I think it is a good trade for the Pacers. I understand the Clippers selling, kind of. Even so, the weird thing is, I think they're 15-5 or whatever in the last 20. The Clippers, and that still didn't get them to above 500.
Yeah, they got off to a real rough start.
So, like this again, Mongo was talking about this. All these trades are tied in together. So James Harden getting traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers for Darius Garland, right?
Yep.
And a future second round pick. So originally it came out that Harden asked for this trade.
Mm-hmm.
And to my understanding, not my understanding, he has come out and said, I never asked to get traded in this particular time. And I'm inclined to believe him because he is not shy about saying he wants to be traded.
Right.
I think ultimately what happened was he went to the Clippers saying, hey, my contract is a player's option. I'm going to opt out this offseason. I would like to do a contract extension. Can we work on that? The sides were too far apart. Whether that not they said to him, hey, we're too far apart, we're going to try to move you now. I don't know. Or if they just decided, oh, we know we're too far apart on what he wants, or hey, we don't even want him back next year. Let's just move him and get something for him. I understand why the Clippers did what they. Oh, for once, I'm not mad about James Harden changing teams. Not that I was ever particularly mad, but like I don't think this trade impacts him as negatively as the past ones have in his legacy.
Now, listen, it starts with this. I don't know if anyone thought this Clipper team could do anything other than banana boat itself off into the sunset. I don't know if anyone thought this team was movable. So the fact that the Clippers brought back three really solid young pieces, young relatively speaking, obviously, and Garland has his foot injuries, but to get Garland, Mathurin, and Isaiah Jackson back is impressive. Now, you're at the end of the day, you're right, because we all do stupid things at work. But like, if I showed up at the bar and I said to you, I got fired, and I go, well, I didn't ask to be fired. I just asked my boss if that hair was a wig. It's semantic. If I went to my boss and asked for a raise well beyond my, my prime years, like I was still a prime player, and they fired me, like I walked myself into it. Whether or not I asked to be fired is kind of moot. So I'm not letting him play the victim here. I'm not going to let him get away.
No, he's definitely not a victim. But I'm just saying he for once he's not. He didn't like.
At the same time, this team has an expiration date that's arguably shorter than most bottles of milk. I mean, they were going nowhere this year. This team's incredibly old and incredibly fragile. Because remember, it's Harden, it's Kawhi, it's Brook Lopez. I mean, Chris Paul. Chris Paul was there once upon a time. This team.
He's a Raptor now.
Historically, there's another one. This team is historically ancient, and so. They had to have a sell by date on this thing, literally a sell by date, and Harden was the most sellable piece. Honestly, on the other side of it for Cleveland, listen, when you can get James Harden, go get James Harden. I'm never going to fault them. I don't think it helps in any way match up against the Knicks. I still think, especially with the Knicks bringing in Alvarado, who we know Harden can really kind of get, bombarded by feisty defensive players sometimes.
Nick's
We
got
know,
plenty of that.
right. I don't think Cleveland needed another veteran to get past Detroit. I still think Detroit is young enough that they can implode on themselves. So I don't think this, to me, this doesn't move the needle in the East in terms of power rankings or
And also
probabilities.
Harden's playoff numbers, right?
But for
They're not.
Harden, I think it's great. I think because of LeBron James, to be quite honest, anyone who can get their hands into Cleveland history is it's not bad for Harden's legacy to end. It's never bad for anyone's legacy to end up being on the Lakers, to end up being on the Knicks. To say you were a Cav during the time that LeBron played, I mean, obviously they're not related in any way, but this is the era to have the.
It might be.
But this is the era to have your name attached to Cleveland, especially if they do somehow win a championship. If the last two stars to win a championship in Houston, in Cleveland are LeBron James and Harden. Like, okay, you want to talk about a legacy maker. But overall, I love what the Clippers have done here. Well, I'm going to take you, whether you want to or not, I'm going to take you to the Pacers after this because these two trades, like you said, do go together. But I definitely don't fault James Harden in this situation. I don't fault the Clippers. I question a little bit what the Cavs are doing, but I certainly don't fault them. You take a flyer on a legend when you can. Oh no, I think it's a decent trade all around, especially because Garland has the health concerns. But it doesn't have the same clout it would have had 4 or 5 years ago. James Harden moved at the deadline. Like now, okay, a guy who can shoot you in or out of any game just got moved from the West to the East and into the playoffs. But that's it.
I will say this. There is a link between this James Harden and LeBron James Cleveland Cavaliers. And it is one of two things. One, he has an expiring contract. LeBron is a free agent. LeBron has privately said that he would be interested in making his third stint in Cleveland to end his career.
Get the banana boat loaded, boys. We're going sledding.
Number two is James Harden's contract is up, and he did not, to my understanding, did not sign an extension. So there's a chance they could get both of them, him and LeBron, to join this team. Now, obviously, this is fantasy land, internet made up stuff that there's nothing concrete about. But it's fun to think about as a person who enjoys the NBA. And you talk. What else do you want to talk about with Pacers? Didn't we talk about Zubac?
Yeah, because I got to go the other side of you real quick. Sorry, you said it looked like a good trade for the Pacers. You're giving up one first, potentially. It's got that weird range on it this year. Listen, with Washington seemingly not letting its new toys play until next year, with the Nets literally casting off a 17-point player a game for funsies, like the Pacers could stink and still end up outside the top 6 in that dangerous range for this pick, which is already quite a lot of capital to give up for Zubac. But here's the thing, man. I like Zubac as a player. I really do.
That's how it's pronounced.
But it's got that European on it, yeah. I don't know. We've seen Jay Huff be really successful as a Pacer. We've even seen Tony Bradley have success, Isaiah Jackson. I mean, this is a young, thundering, team that really thrives around a center that just brings energy. And listen, he can do the job that guys like Jay Huff did, just sit there, block shots and rebound. But it comes with a certain motor. It comes with a certain energy that I don't know if Zubac has. And Miles Turner left. I get it. But notice no one was really terribly no one thought the Pacers before, if Halliburton was healthy, we'd still like that team, right? We're going to like them again next year. The center was not the factor there. It was that you had guys like Nesmith and guys like Obi Toppin who were high energy, high motor wings who could move around the court with Halliburton. And so it's a lot of capital to give up. Benny Mathurin was another one who fit that mold, and they cast him off in this trade. Isaiah Jackson.
They've been looking to move on from Mathurin.
I get it because they had a lot of the same guy, but I feel like forget positional basketball for a minute, forget stats. If you look at it as two guys who really culturally fit into Tyrese Halliburton ball for a guy who I question if he fits into Tyrese Halliburton ball, and you gave up a first rounder for the right to make that exchange. I question it. Now, again, the stats are there. The player is there. He's a great talent, but I do question it. I'm a little more uneasy than a lot of people are about this trade.
Okay, I'll be honest. I think he is an overrated player. I don't like the Pacers, so that's why I like this trade for them.
Oh, I think a lot of teams in the East either did nothing or went backwards. I think that's why the Knicks are one of the, if not the biggest winner at this trade deadline. I'll go full circle because we're about to run out of time. Shout out Kendrick Perkins, who also had the Knicks as the winner of the NBA deadline. So I'll bring it all the way back to Kendrick from 44 minutes ago.
Before you do that, we there's one important trade we forgot.
Sure.
Kristaps Porzingis to Golden State.
Oh, you are right. And I do have my little winners and losers cheat sheet over here if we decide to go that way with this show. And man, I have them both as losers, though I have Golden State a little bit more. Listen, I get the idea, the throw mama from the train logic of you solve my problem, I'll solve your problem. Let's just exchange each other's, headaches. The Warriors finally ending the Kuminga saga is nice, but the fact that they were even on the radar of the Giannis talks and walk away with Kristaps Porzingis,
they were not actually on that.
I mean, listen, if the Warriors are not actually, then the Miami Heat are not actually. I'm sorry.
The Warriors wanted to do the trade.
And the Miami Heat wanted to not give up any of their talent in the trade. Like, I don't want to exercise to lose weight. Like, you can want for gains all you want. It doesn't matter. But if we're going to humor the idea that the Miami Heat had a shot at Giannis, we're gonna humor the idea that the Warriors had a shot at Giannis. That's a deal you won't knock me off of. But regardless, the fact that they were even looking to make that level of move, can we agree on that? The fact that they didn't say we're not looking to make big moves. So the fact that they had Giannis-like price tags on their mind, and they ended up giving up a young kid for Porzingis, that's a loss, even if they moved on. Now, for the Hawks, we knew Porzingis was going to be a bit of a headache there in terms of fit, in terms of contract, in terms of everything when he got there. And so it's good for them to move on. But they bring in Kuminga, who, they have two starting forwards in Richardson and Jalen Johnson. Asa Newell looks like a heck of a steal. They got it about 24 in the draft, somewhere around there. And guess what? Johnson, Newell, and Kuminga are basically the same power forward. I mean, this is if you're a fantasy owner of Kuminga on a dynasty team, this is probably the worst place he humanly could have gone, especially if you own Jalen Johnson and especially if you own Asa Newell. Spoiler, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. I now own all three of those guys on a fantasy team, and I have no idea what to do with my dynasty team.
Hope that the Nets get one of them.
But maybe. I mean, the Nets seem to have infinity money and
because they got no players.
Yeah, they literally.
Who on the team is making money?
I don't know, and the fact that they didn't want to pay Cam Thomas is pretty comical. Although I tell you, the Nets should have some pretty cool stats the rest of the way. Some of these rookies should have some cool stuff.
50 minutes into this, what does Cam Thomas think he's going to sign? He couldn't get a contract this offseason. Why is he going to get one now? I mean, other than he'll just take whatever.
A lot of me wonders how much of this is being rooted by unhappiness. Like, is he at a point where he would make up a number X less to be anywhere other than the guys who have been bullying his bank account for 4 years? I don't know how much of it is just sheer hatred of the organization at this point. I'll do a deeper dive on that. We'll talk about it when we hit the free agency show in a couple, months. But yeah, no, that's right. But I don't particularly know what they're doing. But yeah, no, I have Atlanta and Golden State both as clear losers. As I'm looking down my list here, I think we hit everyone. Oh, I'm sorry. I think the Kings have to be considered losers. I know we're running out of time, but man, bringing in
when haven't they?
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise, but bringing in DeAndre Hunter to me is incredibly weird. In a world where, LaVine
team is all the same.
Right. In a world where LaVine, Sabonis and DeRozan automatically have 3 of the 4 non-point guard spots locked up. You've had such a good year out of Maxime Reynaud. Sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. And Keegan Murray, you just paid, so you want to give him minutes. Why would you bring in anybody who clogs that last spot? Like, if you're going to make any sort of casual trade, either get more Sabonis protection since he's basically going to have to bench him soon, or get another. I was going to say get another future one because Russell Westbrook is literally the closest I've ever seen to defeating Father Time. But dude's got to move on eventually. So the fact that they traded for anyone at 2, 3, or 4 and moved on from Keon Ellis,
they could have traded Westbrook for Ja.
Yeah, I really don't get what Sacramento anything. I get that they had a very limited range, right? I get that what I'm saying sounds silly. Trading for anything between a 2 and a 4 would have made them a loser, but don't make a trade. The Heat didn't do anything. The Rockets didn't do anything. The Nuggets didn't do anything. The Spurs didn't do anything, right? There's no rule that says you have to do something. It felt like the Kings were just rolling the dice for funsies.
3 of the Kings' past potential starting point guards, Fox, Halliburton, and the other guy what's his name? Who has a name very, very similar to a star player.
You're thinking of Davion Mitchell.
Thank you. Are all starting point guards in the league elsewhere.
Yeah. And honestly, credit to the Heat because Davion Mitchell, of those 3, he was the only one who you weren't like, what are you morons doing? And Miami revived him nicely. But yeah, no, the Kings have gone out of their way to make, I forget who had it. Someone on New York radio, and I know we're going super adjacent. The conversation was, are the Jets of the whatever there are 122 or something like that, Big 4 franchises, are the Jets the most embarrassing franchise, or however they worded it, the most forlorn? Or listen,
Browns.
If you were going to call in, the Browns would be the one case you could make. The Kings are up there, man. You want to talk about just a broken franchise? I mean, holy moly! Chris Webber was the last piece of hope there.
Yeah, if Chris Webber was never on that franchise, would there still be a Sacramento basketball team?
That's also fair. Would they have just moved? Would they have just up and left if they weren't at least relevant in the Shaq era?
I genuinely think so. First off, no one's going to that part of California.
No, and here's the most exciting part. If they had decided to move and be New York's second team before the Nets did, they could have been the Queens Kings.
You know what? I like it. Instead, they're going to be the Vegas Kings.
Someone's got it, right? Someone's moving in there eventually.
Vegas Kings does have a nice sound.
Actually, really like the Las Vegas Kings. I'm not mad about that. You heard it here first. Dibs. Copyright. Suckers. Yes, billions.
Wait. Dibs, GM. You could be the coach.
Done.
All right.
I just traded for Benny Mathurin. Sorry.
I'm the GM. You're the coach.
Oh, sorry. I just benched Benny Mathurin.
Thank you all so much for. We probably have more to talk about, but we're ending this. Thank you so much.
I get it.
Join us eventually again. I don't know, some point. Basketball. Sorry, we are basketball. Dropkick for the win. Our football will be we'll be doing a recap of the Super Bowl soon, and our baseball 3 on Lights Out is going to be making a second season.
Free agency coming up. We got to talk about that. Let's go. Spring training right around the corner. Very excited.
We all know how much you've been asking for more John.
Oh, he's the only one on the show who knows what he's talking about. Let's get
John
on
our channel.
We need some John, man.
Well, that's not true. If Jeff were to ever actually join us again, he's very knowledgeable.
That's true. John, Jeff, Kevin, Tommy, we love you guys. Come on back next time, man. We miss y'all.
Deuces. Well, I gave you a thumbs up and said deuces. I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Bye.
We'll see y'all. Love you guys.